Welcome back. I'm Dan Mari. Some high school students might think there's no way learning about science can possibly be fun. Well, it's a safe bet. They haven't been involved in the Young Scientist program.
Young Scientist Program is a volunteer organization of med students, grad students, and postdocs whose aim is to spread science education throughout the St. Louis area, particularly the St. Louis public school system.
These schools are very underprivileged and usually have very underrepresented students and very little resources. So our goal is to really help expand upon the education programs that they have and give them opportunities that otherwise are unavailable.
Not only are we working with individual high school students, middle school students, even elementary school students within the St. Louis area and making a direct impact in their lives and sharing our passion and excitement for science, but we also get to do the same thing with the teachers and the administrators in the public school system.
The Young Scientist Program began in 1991. It was the creation of two MD PhD students here at Washington University who saw the need for better science education in the United States and specifically here in St. Louis.
Going back to 1991, there really was not a lot going on in terms of outreach from the medical school to the surrounding community in the area of science education. And so we saw a real gap and founded the Young Scientist Program to fill that need. The thing that I think is extraordinary about what the Young Scientist Program has accomplished over the last 20 years is the way that graduate students now see part of their role as being community outreach. That's very different than it was 20 years ago with the focus on just scientific results and trying to complete a PhD. Now, so many graduate students participate in the Young Scientist Program and they see education and community involvement in science as a part of their role.
The teaching teams are one of our core components. These are groups of volunteer students that have a specific science topic, ranging everywhere from forensics to ecology and physics, and they span both the Danforth and the medical school campuses. The teaching teams are actually one of the components that have grown probably the most in recent years. We do field trips on the WashU campus. We are also taking these teaching team demos to after-school programs and have kind of done an offshoot with these teaching teams and developing them into independent kits that the teachers can then use to teach in their classrooms. This provides a way to do laboratory-based science or hands-on demos in conjunction with the classroom teaching.
What we're aiming to do with these kits is to provide teachers, after-school organizations, and community outreach centers with a way to do hands-on and exciting experiments with their students without a YSP representative at the location. So the idea really is to have a comprehensive kit where everything they need from information to materials is provided.
The Summer Focus Program is a high school outreach internship program in which 12 to 16 high school and county students from St. Louis come in and work in a lab for 8 weeks over the summer. We also have journal clubs and a writing course in which we have instructors teach them how to write a scientific paper.
They may also just interact with some of the YSP volunteers who come in to talk about their research. The Summer Focus program really serves the high school aged science students in the St. Louis area. Students who are really interested in potentially pursuing a career in science, and students who are gung-ho about it, and maybe some students who aren't sure and they just want to get an experience with working in a lab to see if it's something that they could see themselves doing and something they could see themselves pursuing in college.
Also, the graduate students in the labs benefit from the rewarding experience of mentoring a high school student.
The Teacher-Researcher Partnership is a program that brings together local science teachers and research mentors. They can be graduate students or postdocs or staff technicians. The teachers spend the summer in the laboratory doing research for about 8 weeks. And then together the teachers and the researchers come up with a new science lesson to bring back to the teacher's classroom in the fall.
This can be anything from a one-day experiment that's really in depth and they've thought through, to one of our students 2 years ago did a 2-week Here's Science course where he started off the first day of school with a crime scene. And this set up, how do you take measurements? How do you run experiments, form a hypothesis?
Working with the teachers, their biggest concern seems to be their resources. And one of the reasons that they are really interested in the TRP program is the fact that we provide resources to them to implement the classroom projects in the fall. And the teacher that I worked with at Beaumont High School, we actually brought a model organism, C. elegans, which is this little worm, into the classroom. And, we had money, we bought microscopes for her classroom, we had money to provide the materials, the plates for the worms, it's something that she wouldn't have had those resources without the TRP program. And, the microscopes are something that she can use for many different laboratory exercises and that she can use for years and years. And so the number one things that the teachers say coming through the Teacher-Researcher Partnership is really getting the materials and the access to the resources that they just don't have.
The Young Scientist Program is one of the things I'm most proud of with regard to Washington University. I think it's been a great effort on the part of students and faculty to try to reach out to members of the community. We're very proud of the awards and recognition that the program has received. The Homer G. Phillips Award was created by the African American community in St. Louis to commemorate Homer G. Phillips, which was a wonderful institution that I had the pleasure of knowing when I was a student here. Recognition by the St. Louis Academy of Sciences, of course, represents the affirmation of the scientific community in St. Louis of the importance of our work. We understand, even without those awards, the real value of this program, the fact that it's made a difference in the lives of a number of students who've been able to participate. It's enabled teachers to become more engaged and more informed and more enthusiastic as they approach their classes. And it's allowed our students an opportunity to give back a little bit to the community, to have the pleasure of mentoring and teaching, and for all of us to hopefully encourage more bright young people to go into careers in science.
I think I've learned a lot from the students. I hope that I've become a better teacher.
I really think YSP is, doing a great thing, and I wanted to be involved in sort of reaching out to the underserved communities.
As a graduate student, I think we get caught up in our experiments and trying to publish and trying to graduate, and we forget why we got into science sometimes in the first place.
Here at Washington University, teaching is really underrated and kind of difficult to get training in. So YSP provided a great opportunity to get out of the school and do some teaching, but also to gain skills myself.
And so it's kind of nice to be able to take those skills that I've learned through those years and then teach them to another high school student.
The Young Scientist program needs funding to continue our mission.
That we don't have a regular source of funding. Most of what we get is from research grants.
We do a lot with very little. We have some incredible volunteers.
We have the potential to grow our program even larger, to improve our programs that exist even more so, and grow into new areas.